So I'm here with Candace with the ACLU of Mississippi. ACLU of Mississippi is actually sponsoring this food truck here. We're at one of the water distribution sites. I guess if you want to just talk a little bit about what's going on here, the site here, and kind of what you all have been up to.
Yeah, so we know that this impact here to the city is impacting people in South and West Jackson even more than other parts of the city. So we decided to sponsor some food trucks to also bring some food to people, because as we all know that this also impacting the way that people are able to cook at home and like not just some hot dogs, but like real good food. So on Friday we had a barbecue truck out at one of the centers at Oak Forest Community Center. On Saturday we had One Guy Steak and Chicken over at Sykes Community Center, and then today we have Green Ghost Tacos here giving out fajitas, like really good food that everybody can take home and enjoy in this moment of crisis as well, because that's just an added hardship, is trying to figure out how to cook as well. So we're trying to just alleviate some of that.
Absolutely, and I mean, personally, I saw lots of positive response from people. They're definitely excited to have something like that, especially after waiting in line for water and everything like that. I guess you personally, if you're based in Jackson, how has this crisis affected you and with everything going on?
Yeah, me personally, I lost water pressure maybe 2 days this week, and luckily I had a family who were in different parts of the city who didn't lose their water pressure as bad, so it didn't affect me that much. I'm just grateful to have water, have running water. My water is murky, but it's not as bad as I've seen other people's. So that's why I wanted to also just make sure I'm out here lending a helping hand for people who are impacted even worse than I am. Thankfully, we have these water distribution centers. Thankfully, we have people from out of town coming and donating water, because that's the main thing, like being able to drink clean water. And I am thankful for that. Yes, we have to use the bottled water to brush our teeth, but I'm thankful that we even have people who are able to donate and that we have access to it here. So, personally, it's been a challenge, but I think I'm just grateful that we actually have pressure, because there's been times in the city where we did not even have water pressure. We had ice storms and snowstorms in the past couple of years actually, and our water mains are bad as well. So when those water mains, when they break, we lose water completely. And I just remember in those times it was even worse, a whole week without any water at all, having to just kind of do what we can with bottles of water, or hopefully somebody who lives on the outskirts of the city. So right now, having pressure, I know it sounds terrible that that is our thankfully
right, America 2022,
yeah,
and it's we have water pressure.
At least we have pressure.
Yeah.
So I'm holding on to that and just hoping that we can get a quick solution here in the city so we can actually be able to drink it once again.
And I guess one more question for you, if it's okay. I guess what do you think of the response so far from at the state level, the local level? Do we think they're doing enough? Is anyone talking about how to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again? I mean, lots of people have mentioned to me now, this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened 1, 2, 3, depending on how long you've lived here, it's a recurring problem. I haven't heard much of solutions so far. I'm curious what you think of the response, and if anyone's looking to do anything about this.
So the important piece here is that this is a systemic justice issue here and a racial justice issue here. Environmental justice is racial justice. This city of Jackson is 80+% black. Our state legislature, our state leaders are majority white. All of our elected state officials are white. They've known about this issue for years, for decades. We've known that the infrastructure here in Jackson is crumbling, and we have so many state buildings that are not being taxed, and we have so many there's been so much effort in the legislature from legislators here in this area, in the Jackson and Hines area, and even elected officials here in the city who have tried to get assistance from the state for years, and we haven't gotten the assistance that we needed from the state. The state knows about this billion-dollar issue that we have here, and they have continued to ignore it. Jackson is a majority black city. You cannot tell me that it is not because Jackson is a majority black city and they have divested from the city of Jackson and put those resources that could have gone to fixing the infrastructure of our biggest city in the state, but instead those resources and that attention has been given to the bedroom communities that that are majority white that have been the places of refuge for the white people who were once living in Jackson. So yeah, it is systemic racism. It is white flight. They have divested from the city of Jackson and ignored those issues. And now that is getting national and international attention, now we want to try in and come in and swoop and get something done. Grateful that is happening, but it sucks that it's been this many years.
Yeah, and even some of the response. I mean, I saw an interview with the White House press secretary yesterday. She was asked, like, the White House is saying that the governor needs to do more. Like, what specifically should the governor be doing? And the response was, well, we just gave $75 million for clean water initiatives in Mississippi. And also in the infrastructure bill, there was $400 million for Mississippi that's going to be given over the next 10 years. And I'm like, okay, so that's $75 million plus $40 million coming this year for a $1 billion problem, like you said.
Yes.
Like, pretending that that's going to fix it is insane. And and even at the state level, Mississippi will get funding, and then Jackson does not get proportionally what it should based on the population that's here. You mentioned it's the largest city.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2022, United States of America, the largest city in Mississippi doesn't have clean drinking water, and it's like a great moment that you have water pressure.
Yeah,
even.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the issue is much larger than the small pennies that we have been receiving from the state, and that I've even heard that have been mentioned from local and state and federal officials. We all know that the issue is much larger. So hopefully that the resources come in that we need to actually fix this. Hopefully this is not just a moment in time where we're in the national headlines now. Let's all try to come together. Let's do some tours. Let's talk about these plans. And then a week from now, once things have sizzled down, then there's no more action. But there needs to continue to be action.
What do you think about the response so far from the government, whether it be at the local level, the state level? Have they kind of provided any answers as to how they're going to fix this?
The local level, they're not saying anything. We get more response from outside to support us. But the local level, they're not saying anything because they're too busy fighting amongst each other and blaming each other instead of just coming down, putting everything to the side and fixing the solution. Instead of taking the money and using it for lawsuits and everything else that it don't need to be used for. So then when we come up with this problem, we ain't getting no money because they done used all the money. Whether, the government is either abusing it and ain't nothing getting done about that. So when we need it, here it is, all the poor people got to come together and try to help each other, and then hope outside come in and help us, which, it's been a blessing. I don't know what we'd do if we didn't reach out nationally. If this didn't get out nationally, it would be 10 times worse. But thank God that it did go out, and it's really helping us.
No, I mean, that's good to hear. And I mean, that's like a major alarm to be like, we need to keep getting this story out here. And frankly, it was on the national news last week for a day or two, and it's been kind of quiet since. And that's why we're like, hey, this is important. We need to get out and actually talk to folks and keep this in the top of people's mind, because the fact that in the United States of America in 2022, you've got to be afraid of, washing your children in water because they might get some of it in their mouth and they're getting allergy reactions from it is insane. It's unconscionable. That shouldn't be happening in this country in 2022. One more question for you. Why do you think this doesn't happen in the rest of the country for the most part? Why do you think this is happening in Jackson?
Well, I was told that Jackson have a history of having bad pipes, and politically they'll bring it up to get you to vote for them, and then afterwards they'll put a Band-Aid and just keep on going. But afterwards, Band-Aids is not going to fix it if you don't fix the main problem. So they just fix it up just enough to get the votes, and then they'll just kick it to the curb.
Right.
And you just have to stay on top of it.
And it also seems like, Jackson's kind of historically been underfunded in a lot of departments at the state level. Money will get sent to Mississippi. Probably not enough money gets sent to Mississippi. But then when it gets divvied up to where it goes, it's seemingly ending up in more frankly affluent white areas. And again, frankly, neglecting lower income black areas. And
well, I'm just gonna say lower income areas, period.
Yeah.
Because we have blacks and whites that's in lower income. So I'm just gonna say the lower income areas really, really suffer because that's when it makes us band together and try to help each other regardless.
Yeah.
You know, if you're color, we're going to try to help and support each other. We just can't get our local governments, they need to quit fighting them amongst each other
Yeah.
and go and do what they have to do.
Right.
I've lived in Jackson about 35 years or so, and it seemed like it's a constant issue with our water.
Absolutely. You mentioned the governor. I mean, at this point, like looking back historically, it seems like Jackson has been historically underfunded in a wide variety of departments, not just water, but in other places as well. And then it leads to these recurring water crises, as you mentioned. You've seen several in your 35
Right.
years living here. What is it about Jackson, do you think, that is essentially like, why does this keep happening here? This isn't normal for the rest of the country.
Well, I would say because Jackson, and I would hate to bring race in it, but we are, the population is more African American here in Mississippi. Jackson is the highest. So the other surrounding metro area like Pearl, Madison, Clinton have a higher Caucasian population. So I would say race play a little into it,
No, I definitely agree with you. And I mean, like looking back at it too, it seems that I know during the last water crisis, the last winter, the boil water notice went on, and I saw a quote from the governor that essentially said, if the residents of Jackson paid their water bills, they wouldn't have boil water notices.
Right, and we pay our water bills.
Yeah.
And I haven't been affected with the high water bill, but I've had members at our church who are elderly people, so we know they're not using a whole lot of water, and they're using the same consistent water.
Right.
And last month your water bill might have been $45, $50, $60, but then here you come with an $1,800 water bill.
Right.
And that shouldn't be so.
Is that something people have actually seen that
Yes,
high?
yes.
For water that you can't drink.
For water that you can't drink.
$1,800.
And water that you didn't use. So.
That's insane, and the fact that this isn't like top headline news across the whole country is like an absolute shame.
It's an absolute shame.
Yeah.
And now the water company is threatening to cut people water off
Because they're not paying their bill.
because they're not paying
Of the
bill.
water that they can't use.
Of the water that they can't use. They said you can bathe in it, but you're actually scared to bathe in it also.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, you got pets and you're a pet lover, you can't give the water to your pet.
Right.
So you have need to boil your water for the pets or come get in the long water lines, which is gas.
Right.
Another thing, because you're having to go to
Right.
this one because they're going to only give you two.
Yeah.
And you might have to run over here to another one
give you
because
two.
they're going to only give you two.
And I mean, when I got here earlier, the line was wrapped all the way around this old mall that's is an abandoned mall essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes a lot of time, and I'm curious if you know this. I mean, what happens to folks who don't have a car who want to get water?
Well, that's been my run today. I know some of our seniors in our church and in my neighborhood can't get around, not just seniors, some young people also. So I have been going to water distribution, picking up water, and actually taking it to other places. And when you ask, can I get one for one of the elderly ladies, I have to turn around, go get right back in the long line just to get more water.
Yeah. That's insane. I mean, luckily there are folks like you who are kind enough to actually go out and do it and help those folks out. But it's also pretty sad that the government's not able to provide for some of those
Right.
folks who don't have the means of transportation.
Right, and I don't know who it was. Somebody had a campaign going, if you see a ramp at someone's house, pick up water and deliver it to them. Some people I've given water to, I don't even know their name. But it's what we do.
I guess first off, do you want to just share kind of your experience so far with the water crisis that's been going on?
Yes, we've been going through a water crisis here now since 2000, and it's been hard. You have to boil the water to wash dishes, boil the water, take a little shower. But we just want to thank God now for all the help that has come through, and it's gotten better, but we still have a long ways to go. And a lot of people wants to put it on the mayor, but this young man inherited this problem. It just didn't happen overnight. This has been an ongoing thing, and it's just gotten worse since he's been in office. But he's doing an awesome job, and we just need to stand behind him and the governor and hope that they will continue to work together, that there won't be no division between the government and the governor and the mayor.
So we just want to thank God for all these different organizations that has come in and donated water, and we thank God for you as well.
Thank you very much. I guess, yeah, to start off some of this in the last couple of weeks, at least, when this kind of made more national attention, it seemed like there was a little bit of strife between the mayor's office and the governor's office.
Yes, it was.
I guess, what do you think, in the past, it seems like Jackson has been underfunded at the state level. What do you think is some of the cause of that, and why do you think this is happening in Jackson, whereas it's really not happening in a lot of the rest of the country?
Well, I think it's been underfunded for a long time. Instead of giving Jackson the money that they deserve to get the water repaired, it's going to Madison. And it's government who makes the decision as to where the money goes for certain things to be done. But certainly it hadn't been coming to Jackson like it should. And hopefully now this is national news and everybody know about it. Jackson will get what it deserves.
I certainly hope so, I want to share your optimism, but it seems, last week it kind of made news all over the place.
Right.
And a big reason why I'm out here now is it seems like it's kind of, it happened last week and everyone assumes that it's over, right?
Yeah.
But you said you've been dealing with this for 20 years.
No,
I mean,
not 20 years.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I started last year.
Okay.
We went for about 3 weeks without water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been
Still
an ongoing thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was really bad last week because last year I went at least 3 weeks without water. Having to get up and go to work, boil water to take a sponge bath.
Yeah.
But it's gotten better within the last week.
Okay.
Because I do have water pressure now.
And
but
you
you
didn't have
still
water,
can't
yeah.
drink it though.
Right.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.